let's turn to the page to the NBA Finals. How do you see this matchup, Doris?
Yeah, I haven't dug into the numbers. I had an interesting conversation with my colleague Tim Bontemps last night. We're just talking, thinking either way, how's it going? And he said, if you look at the numbers, Bam versus Jokic, I said, I haven't yet, but I assume Bam's done well. He's, quick twitch. He's got lateral speed. He can get up and underneath Jokic. He goes, that's what I thought. He goes, but the numbers don't bear that out. Now, listen, Jokic is brilliant. People have underestimated this guy his entire career. The thing I admire most about him, Rich, is the incredible steps he's taken from a physical conditioning standpoint. He doesn't tire. That series against the Lakers, he did not tire. He was up and down the floor. I had a 4-overtime game with him once against the Portland Trailblazers. They lost that series, but I knew at that moment this guy had taken a step. And give that organization a ton of credit about the roster construction. Aaron Gordon, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Bruce Brown elevated what was a major weakness. Now, are they a great defensive team? No, by no stretch of the imagination. They give up far too many points on the interior, but they have raised their level when it's required, particularly in winning time in fourth quarters. Those guys are exceptional cutters. And that two-man game between Jamal and Jokic is really difficult to handle. He's a savant and just such a likable man, Nikola Jokic. I mean, I love this guy personally because he's irreverent. He's not at all involved in the NBA lifestyle and being a star. Just such a likable superstar.
And he's unstoppable. And so that's my question. Are we going to see a lot of Cody Zeller that we didn't see? There was a lot of, DNP CDs for Kevin Love in the Eastern Conference Finals. Will that be a different rotation for Spoelstra, do you think?
This is a great question because Zeller's minutes, obviously, in the last couple of games against Boston went way down, and Jokic is an entirely different animal. Do they go small? Do they try to crowd him? What kind of effect does this zone have on him? And you can't deploy it consistently. It's just impossible. Great players, if you give them a steady diet of anything, they're going to figure it out. I think Denver wins the series, and I think they win the series based on the strength of their offense, to be perfectly honest with you, because I am not sure. Think about Miami and the points scored. Now, I can't remember the score last night, but the 3 games leading up, it was 97, 99, and 103 points. And I don't think last night they got to 110. Forgive me. It was just last night, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it was 103.
That's not enough to win, Rich. I just don't think it is. And they have a very diverse offense, and Jokic figures out every coverage. So I think it's a monumental challenge. I am curious to see Eric Spoelstra operate against Nikola Jokic. I'm just not sure they have the personnel to contend with this guy.
And I love how you said that Jokic dissects the defense that's in front of him. He's a point. Is he a point center? I mean, what the hell is this guy? He's an alien. He's seriously.
You've seen the line. You've seen the line where Michael Malone was sort of talking to him one day, and he's like, how the hell, do you have this kind of vision, this touch, this imagination on passes? How are you 2 and 3 steps ahead? And Nikola, in true Nikola fashion, says, well, Coach, I was a very fat point guard as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm wondering can the Heat just run people at Jokic with 6 fouls to give and just pound him or just that's not the way the Nuggets play. Like they don't post him up, right? I mean, and he's bringing the ball up. He's a unicorn.
Teams try to get really physical with him.
Right.
I think what they do, and what they're trying to do most is because Denver is a rhythm offensive team, right? So you have the 2-man action with Jamal and Jokic, and it's weird, right? Because Jamal will actually screen sometimes. So you say 1-5 pick and roll, but it's the one setting the screen. So it's just their 2-man game is unusual, and then you've got opportunistic cutters getting behind the defense, and there's movement and there's action. And the way teams try to deal with Denver is they try to be really physical, right? Disrupt that rhythm. The problem is on the catch, you're not going to move Jokic. This guy is so physically strong, and I go back to the conditioning. Like, you look at him, and he doesn't have the frame of a Bam Adebayo. He does not. You look at their frames and go, well, this guy is just going to tear up this guy. That's not the case. His mind works so fast, and there's a strength and an endurance to Jokic. He's not going to tire. He will not tire. So I don't know that they have an answer. I think they could play small. They could try to get underneath him. Has Bam, I know the numbers aren't good, but, has Bam figured anything out on the defensive end? Eric likes to say how voracious Bam is in terms of his work habits and film consumption and, desire for greatness. And you've seen that guy make extraordinary strides. But what Spo does is there's something, and here's the fascinating part about the NBA now. Like, you go back to 2019 and the Toronto Raptors championship, right? And Nick Nurse was throwing triangle and twos and box and ones, and you didn't see that a ton in the NBA. Well, these players have gotten so good now that coaches are employing junk defenses. They're going to that funky 3-2 zone where they actually put their best defenders at the top of the zone and try to hide their worst defenders at the bottom and pressure you outside. So does Eric come up with something creative defensively? I have no idea. I can't wait to watch.
Well,
it is fascinating that you just now have to have more in your toolbox defensively because that's how good these guys are.
Yeah, maybe Spoelstra is so good he can come up with a defense for the one-legged, off-legged, fall-away three-point jump shot by a 7-footer. I don't know.
The Sombor Shuffle. They call that the Sombor Shuffle.
What do they call it?
The Sombor Shuffle. I believe that's the area from the country
that's the
from where he's from. They call it the Sombor Shuffle. That thing, I've had more players say to me, it is so maddening to play great defense and then to be put in the position where that one-legged jump shot is, at the buzzer of the shot clock, and you just put your head down and start shaking it going to the other direction.
Yeah, I think it almost
too much.
It almost took one of the Lakers' banners down too. That's how high it was. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.